I have no idea if that actually looked cool or not. I was trying to make a cool intro. What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, BMAC. And if this is your first time here to this channel, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure you smash that subscribe button with all notifications turned on so that you never miss another video on the channel. And if you've been here before or if you're already subscribed, welcome back. So today we are reviewing this bad boy right here, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold3 5G. I've had quite a journey with the Fold line of devices. I started out actually ripping on and completely making fun of the original Fold, and then I had the second Fold, the Fold 2. It grew on me a little bit, and now we have the Fold 3. So what do I think of this thing? Well, let's find out. Let's start things out as we often do, talking about the Z Fold 3 design and how things are looking on the outside. In case it weren't obvious, the Z Fold 3 lives up to the name. It folds, but this time around the Fold 3 has this unbelievably beautiful matte finish here, this one being the Phantom Black. But you do get 3 different finishes to choose from on the Z Fold 3. You do have Phantom Green, you have Phantom Silver, or of course, like we just saw, Phantom Black, my personal favorite. The overall design of the Fold 3 is very similar to the Fold 2, but everything on the Fold 3 just feels a little bit more refined, a little bit more polished, a little bit more complete. With the hinge, as strong as ever, working exactly as you would hope it would. Very easy to actually use it and open the phone and close it. And the back camera module is a little bit different now too. Instead of this block, we actually have a line of cameras rather than a whole block module. And the main display camera is actually a little bit harder to see now, on purpose. More on that in a few minutes. On the Fold 3, you now have an IPX8 water resistance rating, which means if you happen to splash a little water on the device, or God forbid, if you accidentally go swimming with it, you should be okay. The Fold 3 can handle splashes of water from any direction, and it could even be fully submersed in fresh water up to 1.5 meters deep for up to 30 minutes. And in case you're wondering, this does complete with a speaker on the top of the device, a speaker on the bottom, as well as your volume up buttons, volume down buttons, your fingerprint sensor power button, and a USB-C port on the bottom to finish everything off. But speaking of that Fold and speaking of the displays, let's talk about the displays. Let's talk about how the displays look and perform on the Z Fold 3. With it being a Fold device, you have a front display as well as a main display. But on the 6.7-inch front AMOLED display this year, we are getting a big upgrade. We are now getting a 120 Hz adaptive refresh rate QHD display, complete with your 7.6-inch 120 Hz adaptive refresh rate main display with a resolution of QHD as well. And in terms of brightness, I found the brightness both on the main display and the front display to be more than enough for multiple needs and occasions. And I very rarely, if ever, wish the screen was brighter, even in direct sunlight. So first things first, on the front display, is it usable? Yes, I've found it to be very usable despite a somewhat awkward aspect ratio. It does take a little getting used to. There is somewhat of a learning curve to how to actually utilize it, but after a couple days, you get used to it, and I think it's completely usable. Works exactly as you would hope it would work. And then that second question, the crease on the main display, is it bad? Is it noticeable? Let me go on the record and say, I think the crease in the middle of the Fold main display is a non-issue. When I have the brightness turned up and I'm using the Fold 3 exactly as I think anyone else would from normal viewing angles, I can't even tell the crease is there. It's essentially non-existent 90% of the time. And then in that 10% of the time where I have the phone either at an awkward angle or in some weird lighting when you can see the crease, it doesn't bother me. I think it is so well executed. I absolutely love it. I've fallen in love with the Fold line of smartphones from Samsung way more than I thought I would. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I've actually found myself wanting to use the Fold 3, even when I don't don't have to check anything. I've just found myself picking it up and wanting to use it for this experience right here, which is always a good sign. But all this is kind of superficial. This is what's going on the outside. What's going on the inside of the Fold 3, and what are we looking at in terms of performance? For one thing, we now have the Snapdragon 888 chipset, or the Snapdragon 888 chipset, which sounds better off the tongue. And in my testing, doing what I usually do on my phones, and especially here on the Fold 3 specifically, I found that Snapdragon 888 to be fantastic for the Fold 3. You could feel the power. It is unbelievably fast, unbelievably smooth. It's snappy, it's responsive, it feels like a modern day foldable device. So with that 888 in there, things are looking good. In terms of storage and RAM on the Fold 3, you're getting 256 gig or 512 gig storage options, both of which are coming with 12 gigs of RAM. I do think it's a little surprising we're only getting 12 gigs of RAM on the 512 gig model of the Fold 3, considering you're getting 16 gigs of RAM on the 512 gig model of the S21 Ultra, but I think at 12 gigs of RAM, even that's impressive to have in a smartphone these days, so I do think it supplies the amount of memory needed, at least for me and my needs, on the Fold 3. My multitasking, which I love doing on the Fold by the way, not feeling any kind of stutter, not being held back here. And then last but certainly not least, you do now get S Pen support on the Fold 3, so having that S Pen stylus is your kind of thing. Makes sense to have it on a phablet kind of experience here. You now get S Pen support. But we do have those 5 different cameras on this Fold 3, so let's talk about those cameras and how things are looking as it relates to those camera specs. The front display camera is a 10 megapixel selfie camera. The main display camera is a 4 megapixel under display selfie camera, and then you have a couple of those rear cameras, all of which are 12 megapixels. You have a wide, an ultra wide, and a telephoto. So things are similar here as it relates to the cameras, and before we get to the under display camera, let me just say that camera performance has gotten a lot better, I think, on the Samsung phones. The actual camera specs haven't changed much, but I think Samsung's just tweaking its image processing a little bit to really bring out all the possible power in the cameras, and I'm happy with the camera performance. Perhaps not the best camera system or the best photos that you could get out of a smartphone these days, but in my opinion, more than sufficient, and in some situations, better than I expect, so that's always a good thing. But going to that under display camera, what am I talking about here with the under display selfie camera on the main display? Well, exactly that. This time on the main display of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3, the main camera, selfie camera, is literally under the display. You could hardly tell that there's actually a camera there. If you're just looking at it at a glance, I definitely think it's less noticeable than the camera punch hole that we used to have. Yes, obviously, the megapixel count is not there. It's only a 4 megapixel selfie camera, but I'll take that trade-off. I think it's still sufficient for most video conferencing needs and for selfie needs. Rather than a notch or a cutout or a bezel, I'll take an under display camera like the way Samsung done it in the Fold 3 all day. But with dual 120 hertz displays that get bright and all this processing power, what's the battery life looking like? How long can you actually expect your Z Fold 3 to last for? The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 features a 4400 milliamp hour battery spread across 2 different cells, one on each side of the folding phone itself. And in my experience, that 4400 milliamp hour battery seems to be providing between 6 and 8 hours of screen on time. Now, of course, this is going to depend greatly on what you're actually doing on your Fold, how bright you have your displays, if you have 120 hertz on both, which means in terms of battery as a whole, I would be confident in saying the Fold 3 should last you an entire day, which is very surprising considering how massive that main display is and the fact that it's bright and at 120 hertz. So I'm liking the battery life on the Z Fold 3. There's not a whole lot for me to complain about here. And in terms of charging, the Fold 3 supports up to 25 watts of fast charging, 10 watts of wireless charging, and you do get 4.5 watt reverse wireless charging. So if you have a pair of earbuds or another wireless charging compatible phone that you need to charge up quickly, 4.5 watts of wireless charging power, which is nice. Share the power. If someone else has a low battery, you could do that. But with that 25 watts of fast wireless charging, that means you could probably go from about a 0 to a 50% charge on your Fold 3 in right around a half hour, and then maybe just a little bit over a full hour to go from 0 to 100%. Those are pretty good numbers in line with what I look for on a fast charging device. So all in all, battery life, check for me. I like it. Charging, another check. That's 2 checks. That's a double check. Double checks are good. But with all that having been said, here are my final thoughts on the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3. You guys already know, I've said in this video, I've been talking about it on social media, the foldables from Samsung are growing on me big time. I think the main display is realistically a perfect size. It's that balance between a large phone display and a full-on tablet display and a hybrid setup here. So anytime I have to do something kind of intensive that requires my attention or, like I said earlier, more screen real estate, I'm using the main display. But to be able to do all my daily day-to-day tasks on the front display as well in this folded setup right here, it's awesome. You truly do get a phone and tablet experience in one on the Fold 3, and to be able to fold that and fit that into your pocket, amazing. 120 Hertz on both displays, battery life that I'm happy with, quick, snappy performance, optimization because of that new Snapdragon 888. I don't really know how else to put it. I love it. I love it. So yes, I do recommend the Z Fold 3. I highly recommend you guys check it out if you want that phablet kind of hybrid setup here between a phone and a tablet. As always, if you guys want to find out more about the Fold 3 or just to snag one of these puppies for yourself, you guys could always head to my affiliate link, bmac.link/zfold3, bmac.link/zfold3, or as always, there will be a clickable link in the video description box below as well, so check that out. And with that having been said, I'm gonna go finish this book I've been reading. I've actually been reading on the Fold 3 more than I have been my Kindle. Just goes to show how much I like to use this thing and how it literally is like 5 devices in one. I will see you guys in my next video. Wonder if I could end this video the same way I started it. Ready? And